Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. I'm going to talk about the debt being released in the market, and I'm going to answer questions here on from YouTube subscribers, people who came across my video. I got to tell you, I just love this work. I love it. I love it. I love it. Um, I don't know, but just helping people with this, like digging deep. It just, I don't know. It's just something. It's like eating a piece of cake or something, because when uh, when I get challenged by people, like people have came to me and they said, this is what's happening to me, and I'm the type of person that will intake that information and then I will run it through a process in my mind to see if there is a solution for it. Now, you might be saying that's what everybody does. No, some people will take in information and based on what their experience is, they will say it can be or can't be done. I've had several situations where when I just like settled down, got the information, settled down, and I looked at it, I'm like, it looks the same as other people's situation that I've encountered, but there's a little bit of a technical difference between what they're doing. I'm going to give you a quick example before we get on to the debt and the questions. There was a summons response that I got last week, or a complaint that I got from someone being sued by a debt collector. And I had stated in my video, and I didn't elaborate real hard on it. That's why I want to talk about it again right now. Is that one of the things that we've always challenged when we wrote the responses for our clients so they could go into court and represent themselves is that we always talked about that the debt collector did not have a specific name and full account number on the affidavit of purchase from the original creditor. If you've ever been sued or if you haven't been sued, there's a affidavit that must be attached. Now, all debt collectors don't even attach them because they think most people won't even come to court. But from us doing them, I know because I know we do them against several of the major debt collection law firms that are out there, and they started adding in an affidavit that shows that they did buy the debt from the original creditor. And so we started saying, hey, well, we've always said it does not show their name and account number on that affidavit. It just said that you bought a bulk load of debt. You can't just use that. You have to go deeper in that. So what had happened is on one that came in last week, it had a document that had the person's name and the original creditor, and it made it look like that document was part of the affidavit. But when I looked at it, I told my customer service team, I was like, it looks like they're trying to counteract something that we've been doing. And then I pulled back. I did not let my assumptions just overrun uh, what I was going to do for that client. I sat back and I reread it again. And then what I had noticed is that that document was not prepared by the original creditor as part of the affidavit. It was actually a document that was prepared by the debt collection lawyer or the debt collection company to make it look like it was from the original creditor. So just follow me. This is because this is like a little technicality that could throw someone off if someone like me is writing your response or an attorney is writing your response for you. This little bitty thing, this little document, the way that it was inserted in the summons complaint would make it look as if the original creditor actually said, hey, this specific person and this specific account number, which they still didn't have the complete account number, but they tried to take it a step and say, this document shows that we purchased this specific account's uh, person's account information from the bulk affidavit that we are showing you. But it wasn't true. It wasn't true. They're not getting that. So this is what happens when they buy the bulk debt. They get an affidavit of a bill of sale signed by someone in the accounting uh, department of the original creditor, but they do not specifically state the individual's account number in full, and they do not state the name. Now, what they do turn over, though, is they turn over a digital file that will have the individual's name, but there's a problem with that file. And I went through this, so no one can tell me that this file does not exist, and no one can tell me that there's not a problem with this file. Number one, the file is like when I got mine back in the 90s, it was like this big. It was this big. Here's the problem with them giving over that file. Number one, they can't give it over incomplete. It is against, if they insert information as evidence against you, they can't just pull out a little piece and give it to you. They have to actually give you all the documents. So when I got my documents, it was a big, this big, but it had my name. All the other was just had black lines. And then it got to my name, and then it had a partial account number. There's a problem with the partial account number already. But the other problem that happened with that, which was something that I didn't even know about, this was before I started helping people with credit and debt, is that on that document it shows what they paid for the debt. On the complete file, it shows what they paid for the debt, and me, it forced the debt collection attorney that was suing me to give me a settlement for $500 when the original debt was $4,500. But I didn't even have don't don't look at me that way because I didn't have a $4,500 debt. So I want to clear this up right now. It was from a credit card that I had when I was in the Army, and the most money, the highest amount of money I made while I was in the Army was $800 a month in the military. That's how much they pay us. I mean, they pay us low money. This is back in 1988. So they wasn't going to give me no credit card that could charge up $4,500. The the whole amount, just because I couldn't even remember, maybe they gave me $500. I don't even think it was that high. Maybe they gave me $200. But they ballooned it up with all these interest and fees. They're not even allowed to do that nowadays, I don't think. But they ballooned it up. But when I was just, and back then I was just saying what I thought because I knew that I did not have that amount. If they would have came at me and said you owe $500 or 600, I probably would have just said, okay, let's work out something to pay it. But because they came so high, it was outrageous. It just made me just go into the mode of I just didn't do this. And I started asking questions. I asked the judge a question. The judge looked over at that attorney, and the attorney was like, "I don't know. Uh, I need to get uh, 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 another hearing set up. I need a delay." And at that new hearing, they had all of the documents, but it was the lead attorney for Roush. They're suing everybody all over the country. Back then, Roush only had one location here in Wisconsin, in Brookfield. Now they're in Texas, Florida, all over the place. I went up against the Roush, the one that says Roush, like his name is first. I went up against him, and I ended up going into the back room with him and negotiating this. And while I was going through it, I was like, this is incredible. And he was like, 4,500 to 4,000, no. 4,000 to 35, no. 35 to 2, no. 35 to, 2000 to 1500. No, I went down to the exact amount that I thought that I potentially, this was more than 10 years later. So I just like potentially, maybe I did $500. I'm gonna stand up for to pay the $500. I'm not paying no more than that. Let me tell you that the statute of limitations on that debt, there were some problems that was with that debt that I would have, it would have been like shooting fish in a barrel now if they came after me. If I knew what I know now, what I tell you to do now, it would have been like shooting fish in a barrel. Because number one, the debt was past the legal statute of limitations to collect. In the state, the debt was originated in the state of Texas, which was way past. And then even in the state of Wisconsin, where I resided in, it was still past the 6 year statute of limitations to be able to collect. So that's why it's important to know and understand your rights on what's going on. And just even if you lose, at least that you put up a fight. Because what I did is I just put up a fight and I ended up at least, you know, got out of there with $500. And the judge, when we came back in front of the judge, he was like, man, what did you say to him back there? And when I went to pay the $500, would you believe that the debt collection people, the people that are not attorneys, the telemarketers, said there's no way that he would have accepted $500 because I said I'm going to walk this to your office. They were like, no way he would accept it. I said, call him. I would remember this just like it was yesterday. It was like a door and a wooden door because debt collect. One thing about debt collection, uh, collectors are very afraid of their life. You cannot just walk straight into a debt collector's office. And so they had this weird wooden door in this big, nice building, but it had a wooden door that was like very thick, and the person opened only the top. And then, and this was in the 90s, so I'm pretty sure now they probably have like bulletproof glass. So I said, get the attorney. The attorney came and was like, here, and signed, told a person to get away from him, did it, all signed, sealed, delivered, and gone for $500. I'm pretty sure that he was probably getting into the business back at that time. Like, I'm, gonna buy debt and make all this money. He still made probably 500% on that because he probably bought my debt for pennies on the dollar. And it wasn't, I don't even believe it was 500. But what I'm teaching you today is how to not fall into that trap. Now, here's the debt. Just got it to my email on Friday. Friday. Uh, we got uh, major credit card companies, including the one that has Samuel L. Jackson always advertising. You know which one that is. $10 million, 2,800 accounts, average charge-off date 2005, average balance $3,400, and guess what they're selling it for? On this one, they got the price $5,000. So let's do the numbers. We got $10 million and some change. $10 million. Oh, I'm sorry. We got our numbers here. 0.000030.0005 cents on the dollar. You see why they'll take that risk. 2,872 accounts. Doesn't matter to them. They're gonna make their money. If they wasn't making their money, this company that sells the debt would be out of business. If there wasn't buyers, and if the buyers were not making their money and profit, they would be out of business quick, but they're not. And I've been reporting on this for probably 5 years, and I've been getting the alerts for, I don't know, at least more than 12 years. Here's another group. These are cell phone, a mix of cell phone and local banks. Local banks. So these are going to be specific to certain states because I don't recognize these banks in other. You know what? I recognize these banks. Uh, I recognize these banks as the ones that people be advertising, uh, be making YouTube videos about, saying you can get an easier approval through these banks. This is the list. Like three of the banks that they usually talk about are on here, so we can see that some of the people that are getting those cards are not paying them. $15.8 million, 23,000 accounts, average charge off date 2001, $678 balance. See, that's why I was saying it was uh it was those quick cards that you can get online. And the one thing that caught my attention on here, other than the other stuff that caught my attention, is that it said experience batched. And what I believe with that, when they say experience batched, is that this information was verified through Experian, and maybe all of the accounts that are on there, they have the information to do the cross reference to see where everybody for locations of people. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll write them an email and say, "What do you mean by Experian batch?" Let me do that. Let me just do that right now. I just replied to them. I want to see what they mean by that Experian batched. All right. I gotta get back over to there. There was another batch that came through um, on Friday. 1.9 million, 2,500 accounts. Average charge off date is 2017. Remember, I said that the debt would start get because there's so much debt on the market. The it's going to condense the charge off dates. Charge debts that have been charged off. They're going to be sold a lot faster. So this one here is 2017. Got another one, just real quick before I get into solutions on what to do. Let's see if any new ones, because this is a whole group. I think I went through this in my other video. I think I went through these in my other video. This is just all of them. Yeah, because this is the one. This is the one that had the 1 billion dollars, one actually $1.3 billion, 74,000 accounts, 74,000 accounts, 4,900 average balance, and it had a charge off date was 2000 on that. So here, let's go through it. This is what you got to do when you're going to get a letter from these debt collectors when they buy the debt. It's a 30 letter that you must respond to in 30 days. You don't respond to it in 30 days, they have the right to place it on your credit reports. On that letter, it states, if you read it clearly, it's going to say the original creditor, who they are, what the account is about, the amount, and then it's going to have a little paragraph. They all have to have this. If you wish to dispute any portion or all of the debt, you have to do it within 30 days. If you don't do it in 30 days, you give them a right to place on your credit reports. The reason why they want to place on your credit reports because they want to put pressure on you to be able to, number one, mess up your credit if you don't want to pay them, and then number two, just if you just try to disregard them, it'll just someday boil up to where you, like, if you try to get a house, a car or something, and say, hey, what about this collection here? Or you try to put your pay for your kids, get a loan for your kids' college. They might not allow that. So there's a whole bunch of things that having that account that collection account placed on your credit reports can hurt you with. So now, what you do, number one, first thing you do, which is what I learned that I needed to do, was you need to check the statute of limitations for the debt that uh, for the debt to make sure you don't have to pay it. With almost every one of the debts that I named off, except for the 2017 charge off, it's past the legal statute of limitations. You simply just have to write a letter to them stating that it's past the legal statute of limitations for them to collect. Don't worry about it. I'm going to give you that letter for free. Next thing is, if it's not past legal statute of limitations, it doesn't end there. You can do what's called a cease and desist collection activities letter, which is like a step up on making them make sure that they have everything that they need to come after you for the debt. They might still try to do it because they know that most people will just quit and stop. They're in the business. You got to go to work, take care of the kids, want to relax, have fun. They have people that they pay to come in every day, 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day or whatever, to come and just go at you. So that's why they will roll the dice and be like, hey, the house is going to win because we're working all the time on this. They're not going to work. They're going to quit. And they might respond back, and then you just going to be in a back and forth making them prove. But what I've seen for people who do this right, and I'm going to give you the letter to get at least get it started, the ball rolling, is that they will leave you alone because they're going to be like, this is not going to be an easy one. We want the easy people. If we got 5,000 accounts and we have one account that's challenging us, why focus on that one when we can go after the other 4,999 people who are not challenging us? That's why when people follow my direction, they end up being successful with this because they don't want to mess with the people who make it hard for them. They want the easy ones. Now, if you need any of those letters, I give them for free. The link is below this video. I'm not going to have those on there for long because some people have taken advantage of the situation. But for right now, they are still there. So if you go to that link and it's changed, then you'll see, the terms to be able to get those free letters for in the future if it's changed. Right now it hasn't, but if it does, you'll see that. So that's all you have to do for that part there. And if you do that, more than likely they're going to leave you alone. So now let's get into some of the question and answers. We had some good ones. I've already answered you, but I'm going to put them on here because other people might have the same questions. Someone said, how can I remove a dismissed without prejudice from my credit report? A dismissed lawsuit without prejudice means that they can try to come back, but they will most likely not come back. They just try to do that so they can dump it back and resell it. Maybe if it's dismissed without prejudice, the portfolio companies buy that, give them that one penny back for that account. I don't know. But they'll. What you have to do is you have to craft a letter with the attachment of the dismissal. Send that to the bureau. It'll get removed eventually. Another person said, I applied for child support. I'm the petitioner. I got a hearing date, but I'll have the serve that summons to the respondent. I do not know his address, where he lives, how to serve the summons. So this is a girlfriend, boyfriend, or husband and wife dispute over child support. What you can do is, well, they probably tell you to publish it, but for serving, I mean, if you have the money to spend, you can do a tracer on the person's name and address, but it's going to be tough. But there's several different types of companies that'll trace an individual down. You give them some information, they'll trace them down. Here's another one. If I moved out of state, do my debt go by the new state statute of limitations? This is something that I had just talked about a minute ago. Uh, Even if you move, what I tell people to do is to use the statute of limitations for whatever state benefits you the most, and let them make that determination. If you accrued the debt uh, in another state and you moved and say, hey, this is where the debt originated from, so the statute of limitations is past statute of limitations. Especially if you move, say you moved after the statute of limitations was over. So you were in that state and then the statute of limitations happened and then you moved. Or you move to another state and then the statute of limitations is even lower than what it was in the other state. I would say, due to the state's statute of limitations where I reside, this debt is not valid to be able to collect in this state. That's why you'll have sometimes people, debt collectors will try to sue you in the state that you used to be in, trying to claim that they tried to serve you in that state, and then they'll try to do what's called a foreign judgment over to the state that you're living in. All right, let's see here. This was someone who had a Santander debt. Santander says if your car wasn't repoed within a year, then you are not included and they won't give internal score. Said to deal with the NCB, do I take them to court? Well, I if you had the resources, you could take them to court, and but what you could potentially do if you have, especially if well, I guess if the debt is up there pretty high, you probably will want to hire an attorney. What you could do is get an attorney to submit a letter to the debt collection company who purchased that debt, and you can state that they go off of the information that is in uh, the Santander multi-state settlement, even if it wasn't repoed within a year. But you could just say that you're going to, if they, this is what you're planning on arguing if they do decide to take you to court. It was, I had this happen to me, I had this happen to me, had this, and then you could say you want them to get all of those documents, your original contract, the credit application, like you you want to have them give you all that information so you can review it because you believe that you were taking advantage of it. It's just that your car wasn't repo within 1 year. That does not matter when it comes to what they're trying to do, because you can say, hey, there was these other issues that Santander had ran into and admitted to. It's just that your car was outside of the 1 year, but what about these other issues? And I believe that debt collection company will potentially say we don't want to deal with it. Let's see here. Let's see here. A whole bunch of people with debt collectors. Let's see. There was one on here that had I can't find it right now, but let me tell you. Uh, they said that when they went to court, they wish I could find that. When they went to court and they the debt collection company said that they want to dismiss without prejudice. And I think, from my memory, I think the YouTube subscriber had said that they wanted to have it dismissed with prejudice. When you have it with prejudice, that means that no one could ever bring it up again. Uh, I would have if the judge would not let it get dismissed with prejudice. I would have said go ahead and dismiss it, because more than likely they're still not going to come back at you. More than likely. And what ended up happening, I wish I could find that question on there, because what more than likely what's going to end up happening is that they're going to end up having another hearing date, and then they might just dismiss it there. But you could have saved yourself some time if you could have saved yourself some time. Don't don't let uh, when a good thing is about to happen, don't let the good thing get delayed because you want 100% have it your way. Like I've had people that when we wrote their court summons response, and when the judge called their name, the plaintiff attorney stood up and said, "Case dismissed." They didn't say why, nothing. They just said case dismissed. And my client was like, "Well, what happened? Why did they do it?" And what I tell them, and I understand the curiosity, I'm like that too. But what I say is, when a good thing happens, let the good thing happen. When a good thing happens, let the good thing happen. And sometimes you just have to let it go. You won. You won. All right, I'm going to end the video here. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different. You're going to see my 8-point validation uh, process on repairing credit and my two-phase settlement process on helping you get out of debt. I can tell you that the system that we are doing, we did a little bit of tweaking to it. It is working wonders if you just let the system work for you. We are hitting it from one end with the bureaus and the other end with the furnishers. As a matter of fact, some companies are trying to mimic what we're doing. When you're the leaders and you keep fighting, see, the leaders keep fighting even when things start to get rocky. The leaders keep punching and fighting and fighting and fighting because that's how you're going to see that light at the end of the tunnel. You have to just keep digging, keep digging. Uh, because of what happened with COVID, it had kind of shook up the way that the bureaus were taking in the challenges, disputes, investigation requests, whatever you're submitting to them. They had 60-day extensions. That's getting back to normal, back to that window of the 30 days. But we've always had that furniture end, and the furniture end is what kept things pushing. And now furnishers are starting to get back to full staff, so we're starting to see that normal cycle of everything happening. And also in my office too, we got everybody working. No people aren't afraid of getting sick, and so things are just getting back to normal. So if you're looking at signing up with us, think you'll be happy. And also, your solution with us might be something that's a variation of what we do. That's why we like to get the process moving, and then as we get information, we make adjustments to individual specific solutions. If you need your credit reports and scores, please go to the website your3scores.com. Grata Reports has everything that you need: furnishers, scores, reports for all three, alerts, some other perks and stuff in there. And that is the one that gives us the most information to be able to help you with your credit. Uh, and if you need the statute of limitations letter, debt validation letter, cease and desist collection activities letter, at least for right now, those letters are free and below this video. And I'm working on, for Black Friday, my huge big announcement for everyone. I think that you're going to love what I have in store for you. So please stay tuned for that. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com. Thank you.